Hello, welcome to my September 2023 update on the latest UK credit card and buy now, pay later news and offers. I've got a few deals to share with you: American Express, Virgin Money, and Asda Money. I'll get to those in the second half of the video. Beforehand, let's kick off with some of the news. One of these I have covered already on the channel, a whole video in detail, so do check that one out if you have an American Express credit card that has an annual fee, because from the 2nd of October, that charge is no longer going to be refunded if you cancel the card partway through the year. This has been a big thing about some of those welcome deals that are coming along, including the one we'll talk about later on, where you could spend the money required to get a welcome deal, get the bonus, then cancel the card to really maximize your profit, because you'd get that fee back. So that is no longer going to be the case from the 2nd of October. So check out that video with more details. But the headlines are, if you have a card which you bought before July of 2023, you can still cancel it before that October deadline and get that pro rata refund. So it may well be that you're halfway through a year with that one, you've already got the bonus, or you're near to completing the bonus on a card. You might want to decide, actually, do you know what, I'm going to cash it in, get rid of that card now and get my bonus. Make sure if you are going to cancel a card, you're doing what you need to do to protect the individual points earned on those cards, because if you're not careful, you'll lose them all. Depends by card. Or if you've got a card from the 1st of July onwards, then sadly, this is already baked into the rules. It doesn't matter when you cancel it, you're not going to get a refund. The only way to do it then is on that year anniversary as we go around and around. So check out that video for more information on that. Now, something else which I did cover in the last one of these credit card update videos back in June was I've seen some speculation going around about minimum income salaries needed to get American Express cards. Now, I went to American Express, I asked them about it. They told me, no, there are no minimum incomes needed for the cards. But then I went back again, and just last week, they confirmed to me that there are minimum salaries needed for all the American Express credit cards. And salary is a really important term to talk about here, because it's not income. It's not any other bits of cash you have coming in, and it's not household incomes. If you're someone who gets money through dividends, or you're pooling your money, you and your wife, or your husband, or whatever it is, and that's your kind of house. No, it's you. What your salary is itself will be big part of whether you're accepted for an American Express credit card. It's not the only thing. Obviously, there are a number of other bits and pieces. Your credit report, obviously incredibly important there. What you put in your application is also important, but the salary is now part of that. Now, there are two different levels here. For the vast majority of American Express credit cards, you need to be earning at least £20,000 a year. Okay, that's the vast majority of the cards. But there are three where it is a higher level at £35,000 a year. These are the British Airways American Express Premium Plus credit card, which we will come back to. That's the one with the special deal I said about. Do that later in the video. The American Express Platinum card, and also, not going to be for many of you for this one, but the American Express Business Platinum card. They have a much higher salary, individual salary of £35,000 required, as well as the other bits and pieces for you to get be accepted for that card. Now, hopefully, £20,000 is not going to be too much of an issue for most of you. I think where it could hit you is, say, maybe you're retired. That could be an issue there. Or it could also be when the trick where I've sort of shared many times with you before, where you have a card for 2 years and get that welcome bonus, and then you cancel it, and then your partner gets a card and keep rotating it around to get those welcome bonuses every 2 years. Because the rule is you can't have had a card in your name with most cards to get a bonus, welcome bonus in 2 years. Now, obviously, if you are the main earner, breadwinner at home, and your partner doesn't earn much, you're not going to be able to do that. But it's an important thing to know that, and they've confirmed those salary levels to me last week. A couple more Amex things, shorter ones this time. One of them, if you listen to my Cash Chats podcast, you might recall back in July, I think it was, in the Month in Money episode, I shared with you that I'd had issues setting up a direct debit for my Amex cards. It actually resulted in me being charged a late fee for that, which is something I tell you guys all the time about, is to make sure you pay off your card every single month so you don't get charged interest, you don't get charged late fees, any of this kind of stuff. What happened for me was I tried to set up a direct debit on my new Amex, and it wouldn't let me do it in the app. It just said I had to download a form, print it out. I've got an old printer over there, which hardly gets any action, but fortunately I had one of those, and upload it. But I kind of kept putting it off, kept trying to do it electronically. Eventually, I forgot, right? So I didn't get doing it. So that was fortunately, I managed to get it all kind of sorted with them, and they took the charge off, and it's had no impact on my credit file. So I was lucky in that sense. I mean, the charge was nothing. It was like, I don't know, 70p or something ridiculous. It was very, very low. But I didn't want it happening in the first place. However, I contacted American Express's press office to query this because their live chat at the time told me that all customers had to do this. And that did not sit right with me. In the past, I've set them up electronically. Hadn't been an issue. Why would they suddenly want everyone to do this, print stuff out, when a lot of people won't have access to a printer? Well, again, they came back to me again in a number of things I went back through to them with. And they said, no, that is not the case. You should be able to set up a direct debit electronically. Why it happened to me? It's a bit muddy there. They say more information was requested, but I'm not quite sure what more information you need than here are my current account details, the current account I've had for a long time. I'd be interested to know. Let me know in the comments below if you have had a similar problem setting up a direct debit with American Express. Was it just me, or is it actually a wider problem, or is it maybe certain banks where this is an issue? For reference, I was trying to set it up via Starling Bank. And the last thing to share with you American Express wise is around a cashback app called Cheddar. Now, if you regularly watch my videos, you know I spoke about this in relation to Chase Bank in one of my current account updates in the summer. And effectively what Cheddar is a cashback app, a bit like Airtime Rewards. Every time you spend on a connected card with this, you'll earn cashback at their participating retailers. Now, I think it was late June, American Express became one of the cards you could add to it. Not just Visa and MasterCard, you could add on Amex. So it's well worth, if you've got an American Express card and you do use it for your spending, most of your spending, along with any other card you use for your regular spending, download Cheddar, add it on, because you never know, you might get some money from it. However, don't get too excited. So I've had it for a couple of months now. I've had my Chase card on there and my Amex card on there, and they're the ones I use most of the time. I have earned the sum total of 3 pence in 3 months. There's not many retailers on there, and some of the retailers you have to refer a friend in order to activate the cashback on them. So it's worth having it. I've heard that they are making changes this autumn. Maybe there'll be more retailers. Who knows? But anyway, it's definitely worth adding it on. More information over in an article which I will link to in the show notes below with all this information, so you can click through and download that. Okay, let's talk now about special offers. There are 3 I want to share with you in September, either ending this month or early next month. The first one is with Asda Money. If you successfully apply for a new Asda Money credit card, you don't already have one, then you will get 5% cash back on spending at Asda for the first 90 days. So this is capped at 50 quid. So effectively, if you regularly shop at Asda, you can get £50 for this card. Normally you'd get 1%, so really you get an extra 40 quid on top of what you'd get if you weren't opening it up with the special offer or you were using a different credit card. Again, this one offer ends on the 28th of September, so you've got to apply for the card before then, 9 days to do your spending. It's not necessarily a great card for future spending elsewhere. There are better cashback options available, but certainly one to consider if you shop at Asda regularly. Now, the second offer to share with you is from Amex, and this is for the British Airways American Express Premium Plus credit card. If you go via the right route, I'll explain more in a second, then you could potentially get 60,000 Avios points as a welcome bonus, which is pretty huge, pretty decent. Not as good as the 70,000 that was available in January, February this year, but more than double the standard 25k that you would be able to get if you just applied at any other time. So this is a good deal to be considering. What I also really like about this particular offer, but this particular card, is only 2 other American Express cards will rule you out of getting the bonus. Normally, any Amex in the last 2 years in your name, tough luck. But with this card, only the 2 British Airways cards, if you've had them in the last 2 years, whether you closed them a week ago or 23 months ago, if you've had them in the last 2 years, sadly, you can't get this offer. And that's this same card, the Premium Plus or the free version. But any other card, you are good to go. Now, in terms of actually applying for this card, it's a little bit different to normal, because if you go to the Amex website, you will not see this increased deal. If you go via refer a friend scheme, you will not see this increased deal. The only place to find this increased welcome offer is to go via the British Airways Executive Club. Now, it sounds all fancy, right? But really, it's just their loyalty scheme. If you get this card and earn your Avios, that's where those points are going to be. So you've got to join up anyway. So just join up for free beforehand. And then when you're on the website, when you're in your account, scroll down all the way to the bottom. On mobile, it'll be the last thing you see. On desktop, it'll be on the bottom left corner. When you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see a promotion that tells you about this. Up to 60,000 Avios points when you apply for either of the British Airways Amex cards. So click that link. You must click that link. Take you to another landing page. And then from there, you can click through to apply. I would suggest before you go through all those steps, you do actually an eligibility search, first of all, on the main Amex website, just to check your chances of getting accepted. Just make sure once you've done that, you do close down the application. You don't process it, because if you continue the application after you've checked your eligibility, from the Amex website, you will only get the lower 25,000 points, okay? So do that, then go to the Executive Club, and then click through to apply. Now, assuming you are successful and you get this card, there is another thing you have to do, and this could be a bit of a barrier for you. In fact, I think it probably will be a barrier for most people. This one has a minimum spend to trigger that bonus of £5,000 in 3 months. That is a lot of money that you'd have to spend. So again, only really take this on if you think you're going to do that. Maybe you've got a really big expense coming along, or you just spend that kind of money anyway. Because if you spend a penny less, you will not get those bonus points. Again, a lot of money. Normally when they increase the spend, they also give you more time to do it, but this is still within that 3-month period. So not ideal, right? But okay, if you can manage that, spend the $5,000, you will get those 60,000 points. You'll also get points for every pound that you spend. And it's 1.5 Avios points for every pound, which means in total, you're going to have 67,500 points. Now, you can use those in a number of ways. You can use them towards flights with British Airways, or if you don't fancy the idea of using them on a flight, you can swap them into Nectar points. You might have to stagger it over a while because you can't actually do all that much in a single exchange. But if you do that, then that's worth £450 in Nectar points, right? But there's one really, really important thing I need to share with you on this one as well. It has an annual fee of 250 quid. As we shared at the top of this video, you won't be able to get a refund on that if you cancel the card pro rata. So you will spend that 250 to get the 450, which means you get a profit of £200. But you still will have £450 in Nectar points, okay? That fee is separate, okay? So you will have spend the money in cash, earn the points, convert them into Nectar. But a profit of 200 quid, particularly if you already had a welcome bonus with a different Amex before, I think is well worth thinking about. And this offer doesn't last long. It's only until October the 10th. Okay, so that's your deadline to apply for this. Get more information about this over on becleverwithyourcash.com. Don't forget that there is potentially, if you want to keep this card and you spend 10 grand on this card in a year, you'd also get a 2-for-1 companion voucher that you can use for flights with those points you've earned potentially to get an extra ticket when you're traveling, but you still have to pay taxes and fees on top. So it can work out, but not all the time. I'm not a huge fan, but I'm not saying rule it out completely. There is also an increased offer via that same Executive Club link for the free card. That one increases it by a small amount from 5,000 to 10,000 points. That is not a huge amount. And that one, you can only get that if you've had no Amex card in the past. I think for most people, don't go for that. If you've never had an Amex in the past, have a look at one of the other cards that is out there, whether they've got an increased bonus or not. They're probably going to be better for you. Now, the last deal to share with you is about a Virgin Atlantic credit card deal. This one is an increased offer similar to what ran earlier this summer. And this one will give you 15,000 Virgin points, which is your normal bonus you'll get when you make your first purchase. Then if you spend £3,000 in the first 90 days, you'll get another 15,000, giving you a total of 30,000. Plus, because you'll be spending, getting 1.5 points for every pound that you spend, an extra 4.5 on that. So ultimately, if you get this card and you spend £3,000 in 90 days, you will get 34,500 points, Virgin points. You obviously can keep spending on it if you wish to and keep earning those points. But that's essentially how that bonus is going to work, that initial thing. Now, this one also has an annual fee. It's a lower fee of 160 quid. So you're going to have to factor that in when you consider whether it's worthwhile or not. Now, in terms of what those points are worth, well, if you use them for a flight, I had a quick look on the Virgin Atlantic website. For March next year, just randomly chose London to Las Vegas. You might be able to get a return for 30,000 points, a return from London to Las Vegas. But you will have to pay some fees on top of that of around £300. So that 160 quid that you've spent on the card plus those £300, really it's £460 you'll be paying for that flight. Now, if you put those flights just in cash, those same flights, again, this will vary by route and dates and all sorts of things, availability, you'll be paying around £650 to £700 in cash. So really, this is giving you a profit here, potentially a decent saving on a flight of a couple of hundred quid. But that is limiting you to certain availability of seats on certain flights on certain routes with a certain airline. You might find there are other ways to save and bring that price down. And again, it will vary by route. But that's give you an idea of what it's worth for flights. If you don't want to use them towards flights, you can exchange them via the Virgin Red Point site for things like Virgin Wine or Greg's sausage rolls or gift cards. In fact, the gift card thing is relatively new. Not many retailers. It's Costa Coffee, Nike and Pizza Express. But if you did that, the points are worth 0.5 pence for every point. So those points you're going to get, those 34,000 odd points, is roughly worth 172 quid. £160 fee means you're only making £12.50 profit. So I think this is only going to be worth it for you if you want to earn them towards flights. For other redemptions, gift cards, sausage rolls, train tickets, it's probably not worth it. Now, I have got details of all of those offers over at becleveryourcash.com, so I will link to those in the show notes below. So you can click through, read more, and then click through to the actual deals themselves. My name is Andy Webb. Thank you so much for watching. Check out these videos right here for more ways to max your credit card benefits.